What's up, guys? Wayne here from the Face team, and I wanted to go over kind of a quick tutorial on how to make a quick analog face using our face template. Um, Go ahead and grab the template. Let's go ahead and go to faceforware.com tutorial, and it'll take you to a page like this. It's always going to be changing, but you can easily get to the template file right here. I do stress that you guys should have Android Studio installed, and it helps if you already have the hand files done already. You can use the PSD I have here, make the hand files, face, and whatever you need. So let's go ahead and grab that template file. Here's our GitHub. Let's go ahead and download this zip to our desktop. Zip is downloaded to the desktop. So I uncompressed it in the desktop and the folder is there. So I'm going to go to Android Studio, going to import project, and from here I'm going to navigate and find where I put the project file. Should turn into a little Android guy. Let's go ahead, hit OK. It's going to build the project, import it in, and this is going to be your base project, your source project. We pretty much handled everything to get started for the code for the analog face. What we're going to need to do is to get to the files that we need to change, you need to drop down app, drop down source, drop down main, drop down res. And in the drawable folder, here's all the images we need to change. So what I normally like doing is right-clicking drawable and reveal in Finder. Go ahead and open the drawable folder, and there's all these images that are used for that theme, the default theme. What our main concern is, we're gonna go ahead and we don't need him. We don't need him. And we can go ahead and there's dial, dim dial. Actually, let's delete all the dim. So it's easier to read. Okay, good. We also should take and make sure that there's a launcher icon in here. Great. So we need to replace these images first, and I already have a folder of images that I pre-made. Let's go to desktop. So I'm naming them the same. You can name them whatever you want, and then later in code make the name match, but it's easier just to do this. Copy, paste, and replace them all. Great. So they're all replaced, and we can leave the preview as is for now, but I suggest you use the same size, but change the picture. Use the same size as the icon and change the picture, obviously to match your theme. Going to next, and by the way, I put this overlay in here. It wasn't overriding any files. I'll talk about that a little later. So we have the files in there. Let's go to make sure to synchronize so it sees all the files again. It's just something I do to make sure it sees it. Now let's go to values, strings. Double click it. In the editor, you see what kind of strings make the analog face. So here's the layer modifiers. We have the background, BG, and then we have a digital time, it looks like. Another digital time. So this could be the date, time, and then you see other ones. If you see % or \n, that's a new line. all these modifiers can be found at the bottom of the tutorial, so you'll see what they correspond with. So let's go back to Android Studio, and we know that we want to get rid of all the digital text. So erase everything to there. See that? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers. So let's look. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 layers. Well, we did delete 2 of those layers, and those were the first 2. So BG is right here. We're going to have to delete 1, and 2, and 3. So we're left with the last 3 layers. 1, 2, 3. Wait a second. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. So we have an extra layer. So that's minute, hour, second. So we need to get rid of this one too. Alright, great. So we got the BG, the background, which is dial. We have second hand, as you can see, second, hour, hour, minute, minute. Background, second, hour, minute. These modifiers, as I was talking about before, you can see hour. So we know it's set up perfect for an analog right now. We don't have to do anything. It's pointing to the second. The image name is second. Ambient is second. Hour. And then the ambient name isn't on here. We can add that if we want, or we can subtract it because we're not going to be using ambient. But if you want to, you can go ahead and put ambient back in here if you wanted to make the ambient, like, you know, we can name it, this one would be our dim, whatever you want to name it. But for now, let's take out the ambient lines just to clean up code, because we're gonna keep everything default for ambient. So we got minute, this will point to the minute, hour, this will point to the hour, second, this will point to the second. And let's take out the ambient right here. The key is to make sure that you don't forget any of the commas and you end in no comma, or it'll complain. Next, so we know that all these images point right here except for the overlay. I'll get to that later. But everything points to where it needs to point. Go ahead and put, you know, your contact email, your price. So if it's going to be 99 cents, put 0.99. Your author, put me, whatever your author name is. Cool face, version 1, and we're good. Now the next thing you need to change for, you know, text purposes is the build.gradle. Double click that. And you want to name this your author name dot your face name. So in my case, that would be wjd dot cool stuff, or whatever I'm going to name it. And the only other things you're going to change in this file are the version codes and version name if you make updates. After you do that, make sure you hit sync now. It syncs everything. It makes sure everything is named right and blah blah blah. So let's go back to our strings. And right now we have a perfectly working analog clock. That's all you have to do. Replace these images. Make sure they're in these layers. So we got dial, which is the background, second, hour, minute. And to change these layers around, if I wanted minute to be under hour, I would just copy that. Make sure that comma's off because it's the ending. return line, with that, make sure there's a comma there, done. But remember, we have to change it up here because these are the modifiers for each of those layers. So we'll go ahead and copy that and place that right here. Now it'll correspond with these layers, so BG stays the same, second, minute, hour, second, minute, hour. Done. Now, what if you wanted to put an overlay over everything? Well, you just copy this, put a comma, and let's name this overlay. Go up here, make a new line, and put BG. BG. So we know that PNG is going to be the topmost layer right here, and it's going to overlay everything behind it, and it's going to point to overlay, which we have right here. It's as simple as that. We already have the X and Y, and it's center true. Center true is going to tell it to be in the middle. Same thing with this. So if you make it in the middle, directly in the middle in Photoshop or whatever you're using, it's going to be in the middle. So there you have it. It's a pretty quick and easy, dirty way to make an analog face. After you're done, make sure you run it, hit Run App, and test it on your device. Make sure you have face running. And it'll show up in your My Face area, and you select that, and it sends to your phone. Done. I always, once in a while, make sure you clean the project to make sure if you're editing things that might get cached, or it's always good to make sure, because Android Studio kind of gets crazy once in a while. When you're done, tested, everything looks good, generate the signed APK, get it out on the Play Store, and get it in our app. But there you have it. Quick and easy way to do an analog clock face.